I never thought I'd see the day when someone would mock my disabled mom for simply trying to live her life. But that's exactly what happened when we moved into our new neighborhood, a place we thought would finally give us peace. Instead, it became a nightmare we'd never forget. It started small, just whispers and side glances from people in the HOA. My mom, being kind and soft-spoken, always tried to smile through it. She'd wave at everyone, even those who pretended not to see her. But there was one woman who took things way too far. Her name was Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA. And trust me, she made sure everyone in the neighborhood knew it. At first, Karen acted nice. She brought over cookies, fake smiled, and asked questions that sounded polite but had a sharp edge. "Your mom doesn't drive, right?" she'd ask, with a smirk that felt wrong. I could tell she wasn't asking out of concern, she was judging us. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. Karen started complaining about everything: the way our trash bins were placed, the ramp we installed for Mom's wheelchair, even the color of our mailbox. She said it ruined the community aesthetic. My mom tried to stay calm, even when Karen said, "Maybe your mom belongs in a facility, not a neighborhood." That sentence hit me like a punch. I remember Mom's face. Her eyes went down, but she didn't say a word. She just whispered, "It's okay, honey," and rolled her wheelchair back into the house. But I could tell it wasn't okay. Not even close. A few days later, Karen came to our door with a clipboard. She said she was conducting an inspection. "Your ramp violates HOA rules," she said sharply. I told her it was a disability access ramp, completely legal. She didn't care. She smirked and said, "Rules are rules. Maybe if your mom didn't need special treatment, things would be easier." That was it. I lost it. I told her to leave, but she refused. She stood there, taking photos of our ramp, our yard, even our car. When I threatened to call the police, she laughed. "Go ahead," she said. "I am the HOA." From that day on, Karen made it her mission to make our lives miserable. She sent letters. She left notes on our door. She told neighbors lies, that we were troublemakers, that Mom was faking her disability for attention. People started avoiding us. The kids who used to wave stopped waving. Even the mailman looked uncomfortable dropping off our mail. One morning, Mom went outside to water her small garden. It was the only thing that made her happy. The flowers were her escape from all the hate around us. But Karen came walking down the street, holding her phone and recording. "Look at this," she said loudly. "She's out here pretending she's sick, but she's fine enough to play gardener." Mom froze. Her hand trembled, the watering can slipped, and water spilled over her lap. I ran out and yelled, "Stop recording her." Karen just laughed. If she's really disabled, why is she out here? Maybe she's lying. Maybe she's scamming the HOA. I could feel the rage boiling in me. I wanted to scream. But Mom whispered, "Don't. She's not worth it." That broke me. Watching her trying to protect me, when she was the one being humiliated, it tore me apart inside. The next day, we received an official HOA violation notice. They demanded we remove the wheelchair ramp within 14 days or face fines. My mom cried that night. She said, "Maybe I should move back into care. I don't want you to fight this battle for me." I held her hand and said, "Mom, no. You deserve to live like everyone else. You did nothing wrong." So, I gathered every document, her disability papers, the ADA law, everything. I went to the HOA office to explain. Karen was there, smiling like she'd already won. When I laid out the proof that our ramp was completely legal, she laughed and said, "Oh, so now you're a lawyer too?" She tore the paper from my hand and said, "You can take this up with the board," which I happened to run. That's when I realized there was no reasoning with her. She didn't care about the rules. She just wanted to break my mom. But here's the thing. Karen messed with the wrong family. That weekend, I contacted a disability rights attorney. I told him everything, the harassment, the recording, the threats. He told me we had a case. Not just against the HOA, but against Karen personally for harassment and discrimination. While we gathered evidence, Karen kept escalating. She'd stand outside our house, taking pictures. She'd whisper to other neighbors whenever Mom went outside. Once, she even followed us to the grocery store, muttering under her breath about fakers. I tried to ignore it, but one night things went too far. It was around 9 p.m. when we heard loud banging on our door. It was Karen, again. She was furious. "You didn't remove the ramp," she yelled. "You think you're special?" Before I could respond, she stepped onto our porch and started shouting insults, calling my mom lazy, useless, and a burden to the community. I grabbed my phone and hit record. I said, "Karen, you need to leave." She kept yelling. Then, out of nowhere, she grabbed the railing of Mom's ramp and kicked it. The sound echoed. My heart stopped. Mom screamed. I pulled her back into the house and locked the door. Karen stood outside, shouting, "You'll regret this." I called 911. My hands were shaking. I told the dispatcher everything. Within minutes, 2 police cars arrived. Karen was still on our porch, yelling when the officers approached her. She tried to play the victim. "They attacked me," she said. "They're breaking HOA laws." But when I showed the officers my phone recording, everything changed. The video showed Karen shouting, insulting my mom, and kicking the ramp. The officers looked at each other. One of them said, "Ma'am, you need to come with us." Karen's face went pale. "What? No. I'm the one in charge here." The officer said firmly, "Not tonight, you're not." As they escorted her away, the whole neighborhood came out. People peeked through windows, whispering. For the first time, Karen wasn't the one in control. My mom sat quietly in her wheelchair, tears in her eyes. But this time, they weren't tears of pain. They were relief. She whispered, "Maybe now, they'll finally see the truth." I nodded. "They will, Mom. They will." And that night, as the police car drove away with Karen inside, I realized something powerful. You can only push good people so far before they stand up for what's right. We decided to take the HOA to court after that. We weren't just doing it for us. We were doing it for every family who'd been bullied, shamed, or silenced by people like her. Because sometimes, justice doesn't knock. You have to build a ramp and roll it right to the front door. The morning after Karen was taken away, the neighborhood felt different. The street was quiet. No one came out to gossip or peek through their windows. For the first time, it felt peaceful. My mom sat by the window, watching the sun rise, and whispered, "It's so calm today." I smiled. "That's what peace sounds like, Mom." But I knew this wasn't the end. Karen was only one part of the problem. The HOA still had to answer for everything they'd done. The letters, the lies, the humiliation, they couldn't just disappear because one woman got caught. 2 days later, we received another notice from the HOA. It wasn't an apology. It was a warning. They claimed that our behavior toward Karen was unacceptable. They even threatened more fines for disrupting community harmony. I couldn't believe it. After everything, they were still trying to paint us as the villains. Mom looked at the letter and sighed. "They'll never stop, will they?" I shook my head. "No, but this time, they picked the wrong family to mess with." That same day, our lawyer, Mr. Johnson, came to visit. He was calm, confident, and had this quiet power about him. He looked through all the evidence I'd collected, the videos, the letters, the recordings of Karen yelling. Then he said something that gave us hope. "You have a strong case," he said. "This isn't just harassment. This is discrimination. And we're going to make sure they face consequences for it." For the first time in months, I saw a spark in my mom's eyes. She smiled softly and said, "Thank you." We filed a lawsuit against both Karen and the HOA for discrimination, harassment, and emotional distress. News spread fast through the neighborhood. Some people supported us quietly, others pretended they didn't know what was happening. But one thing was clear, the power balance had shifted. A week later, a new HOA meeting was called. Normally, these meetings were full of fake smiles and gossip. But that night, the air was thick with tension. Everyone knew why we were there. I wheeled Mom into the community hall, and you could feel the silence. Every eye turned toward us. Karen wasn't there. She was dealing with her own legal problems, but her allies were. The HOA president, a man named Mr. Wilson, tried to keep his composure. He cleared his throat and said, "We're here to discuss recent incidents." I raised my hand. "You mean the part where your board allowed harassment against a disabled woman?" You could hear a pin drop. Mr. Wilson's face turned red. "That's not what this is about." "Then what is it about?" I asked. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like your HOA forgot what being human means." Murmurs filled the room. Some neighbors nodded. Others looked down. Mom sat quietly beside me, her hands folded. She didn't need to say anything. Her presence said it all. She'd been through enough. Mr. Wilson stammered, "We'll handle this internally." "No," I said firmly. "You had your chance to handle it. Now the court will." And with that, I handed him a copy of the lawsuit. The sound of the paper hitting the table echoed through the hall. It felt like a moment of truth, a shift we'd been waiting for. After that meeting, something unexpected happened. Neighbors started reaching out. One woman, Mrs. Garcia, came by with flowers. "I'm so sorry for what you went through," she said. "Karen made everyone afraid to speak up." Another neighbor admitted, "She threatened to fine us too if we helped you." That's when I realized Karen had built her control on fear. And when fear broke, so did her power. Weeks passed. Karen's name was now whispered with disgust instead of respect. The HOA board was under investigation. The local paper even picked up the story. "Disabled woman faces HOA harassment. Family fights back." When the article came out, my mom cried. Not from sadness, but from relief. She said, "Maybe this will help someone else going through the same thing." Then came the court date. Walking into that courtroom felt like walking into the final chapter of a nightmare. Karen sat at the defendant's table, arms crossed, her expression cold. She didn't look powerful anymore, just small and angry. When my mom took the stand, the room fell silent. Her voice was shaky but strong. She said, "I didn't want to fight anyone. I just wanted to live quietly. But when you're mocked for being disabled, when you're told you don't belong, something breaks inside you." Even the judge looked moved. Karen's lawyer tried to argue that it was a misunderstanding. But then, our lawyer played the video, the one of Karen yelling, kicking the ramp, and mocking my mom. The room went quiet again. Karen looked down. You could see her confidence crumble. The judge's tone was firm. "This behavior is unacceptable. The law protects individuals with disabilities, and what we've seen here is harassment and discrimination." When the verdict came, I felt a rush of emotion I can't even describe. The court ruled in our favor. The HOA was fined heavily, and Karen was ordered to pay damages and attend sensitivity training. But the real victory wasn't the money. It was the truth finally being seen. After the hearing, a reporter asked my mom how she felt. She smiled and said, "Justice isn't just about punishment. It's about hope, that maybe next time, someone will think twice before they hurt another person for being different." That line spread online like wildfire. People shared our story, calling my mom a hero. She didn't want fame, she just wanted peace. But somehow, her quiet strength inspired so many others. A few months later, the HOA completely restructured. Mr. Wilson resigned. A new president was elected, Mrs. Garcia, the same woman who brought flowers. She promised that the HOA would now protect, not punish, its residents. And Karen, she moved away. No one heard from her again. But the damage she caused taught everyone something powerful. That a single cruel voice can poison a whole community, but a single act of courage can heal it. Our neighbors began checking in on my mom. They'd bring her groceries, help with her garden, and even built a small fence around her flowers to keep them safe. Every time I saw someone helping her, I thought about how far we'd come. One evening, Mom and I sat on the porch together. The sunset painted the sky orange and pink. She looked peaceful again. She said softly, "You know, I used to think this house was cursed. But now, I think it's blessed. Because it showed me how strong love can be." I smiled and said, "You showed me that, Mom." For a while, we just sat there, listening to the quiet sounds of the neighborhood, the laughter of kids, the soft hum of life returning to normal. That night, I realized something. It's not just about fighting back. It's about showing others that kindness still wins. Because in the end, no matter how loud hate gets, love and truth speak louder. If this story touched your heart, share it. Let the world know that standing up for what's right is never wrong. No one deserves to be mocked, judged, or pushed aside for being different. Be kind. Be brave. And never stay silent when someone needs your voice. Red Heart.